Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of worry, stress, or tension to leave your body in your outward breath. Notice where you feel any tension and acknowledge that as you breathe in and breathe out, feelings of tension are given permission to be released and to exhale. So as you breathe out, it really feels that tension is leaving your body in your outward breath. Imagine your arms and legs feeling looser, heavier. I want you to get a sense that your breathing is slowing down, and as it slows down, you're able to find a calmness, a stillness, a tranquility. I want you to imagine that you have access to powerful technology that can mean that you can go back to a point in time and space. And I want you to think of a chain of events that took place in your life that led you to have more of your emotional needs being met from that which wasn't real than that which was. Knowing everything that you now know, there are consequences to following that chain reaction. The amount of time spent thinking about things that aren't real, that affect your emotions, your sleep, your health. What if we could go all the way back in time, knowing what you now know, and make a change that creates a butterfly effect that ripples throughout time and space all the way up to the present and beyond? A question. A life that is fake or a life that is real? Fantasy or reality? And a fantasy can be alluring. In a fantasy, you have power, control. You are the master of your destiny. Things happen the way you want them to happen. But once the genie has left the bottle, that same power of imagination could create ideas that cause anxiety and stress and worry. Because once that connection between thought and emotion becomes ingrained, you will accept false things to be real, even when they no longer serve you. I want you to imagine, if you were given the choice of living the perfect life in a VR simulation, but none of it was real, or to live a life of ups and downs, challenges, issues, failures, successes, but it was all real. Maybe you would choose harsh reality rather than the pleasurable truth. Because a fantasy can feel like it's true when you're experiencing it, much like a dream. A dream can feel real when you're in it. It's only when you leave the dream that, of course, everything makes sense, that it was so strange and bizarre. When fantasy can feel like it's true, and truth can feel like a fantasy, it's difficult to know what is real and what is not. And I'm wondering if you're ready to free yourself from the illusion, free yourself from this simulation, this matrix. And if you're ready to embark on a journey to face a difficult reality rather than a pleasurable fantasy, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine using this technology and recalling a time perhaps when you were a child. Maybe you were getting into music. Maybe there were certain things that enabled you to access fantasies and emotional states that weren't real. And I want you to think of a time where you know exactly where you were and what you were doing. But I want you to recall a time where you're on your own. And when you can think of yourself at a particular age, before you got lost in the confusion of fantasy and reality, a time when you were a child but on your own, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine using that technology to go whoosh, all the way back in time. And I want you to say hello to that younger version of you. They wonder who you are, and you just say that you are them from the future. And they may laugh or smile because of course they don't believe you. But I want you to share information that only they would know. Something they did that nobody else knows about. Some knowledge, some evidence to reassure this child that you are them from the future. And where they're convinced that you are indeed them from the future, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to tell them the insecurities they have about themselves. Maybe they're worried that they're not strong enough, good enough. Maybe they've got some insecurities or fears. Tell them you understand. Tell them what those fears are. Create more evidence and influence that you are indeed them from the future. But also tell them that they will be tempted to escape their harsh reality by retreating into an imaginary fantasy. Tell them it might start with music, and then maybe video games or movies. But it will reach a point where the imagination is strong enough for them to have intense daydreams that could last hours on end, that they could feel strong in the daydream, but it would just mean that they would become addicted to a fantasy that isn't real. And as you tell that to the child, get a sense that they're confused. How could you know so much about their life? How could you really be from the future? How could you know their fears, their insecurities, their frustrations? And how could you know about some of the things they're already doing to escape them? And I want want you to feel like you're asking that child version of you, if they want to avoid a chain reaction that could lead to stress and panic, worry, and even health issues, that you are from the future so that they can avoid some of the paths that you went down. And if that young child is open-minded to avoiding the pitfalls that you've encountered, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine asking this child if they've seen a movie called The Matrix. And if you remember that you had seen it at that point, let me know by nodding my head, or just shake it if you hadn't seen it at that point in time. And tell that child that they have a choice to make similar to the choice that Morpheus offered. The red pill and the blue pill. That the blue pill means that they will be lost in a simulation, a world of imagination. None of it's real, but it feels safer. Or do they take the red pill? Do they do the courageous thing, the brave thing? To step up and deal with difficult life situations. To not guess what's going to happen, but test what's going to happen. Real choices, real decisions. Deal with reality. In the blue pill, they will encounter a life where 80-90% of their life is fantasy and imagination, and maybe 10 or 20% is real things. But the red pill is inversed. Almost everything is real, with just the occasional escape into low levels of fantasy, watching a movie, watching a TV show, listening to a song, playing a game. But the majority with the red pill is doing what's real. And if this childlike version of you feels like they're ready to make a decision, then I want you to shift perspective so you now feel that you are in the body of that child. That I'm now talking to you as a child, perhaps just 10 or 11 years old. And are you ready to decide which pill you're taking? If you want to take the blue pill, let me know by nodding your head. But if you want to take the red pill, to deal with truth and reality, no matter how harsh it is, knowing that you have the resources to cope, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine seeing that shiny red pill and taking it. Taking that red pill. And as you take that red pill, I want you to imagine that your mind is opening up to new ideas, new ways of thinking. New ways of thinking that would have a ripple effect throughout your entire life. Some of these things may be relevant, some of them not, but you will latch on to the ideas that are useful for you. From this point onwards, as you relax deeper and deeper, you'll find yourself becoming more present and engaged in the reality that surrounds you. Your imagination serves as a tool to enhance your creativity and problem-solving abilities, rather than as an escape from real-life challenges. As you feel the power of that red pill, maybe there in your gut, you appreciate that the true magic of life lies in the experiences and accomplishments that you can create in the world. Your focus effortlessly shifts from daydreams and fantasies to the exciting possibilities that await you in the present moment. Imagine how good it will be to find joy in the challenges and accomplishments that come from living in a real and fulfilling life, knowing that that's the things that actually will shape your character and bring growth. Your mind naturally redirects its energy towards manifesting your dreams and goals in the real world, rather than getting lost in wishful thinking. Appreciate the power that real life interactions and connections and how they are more fulfilling and rewarding than the fleeting pleasures of fantasies and virtual realms. With the red pill, you will avoid hours and hours, perhaps daily, of wasted time getting lost in imaginary thoughts and fantasies. But having taken this choice, from this point onwards, your imagination becomes a source of inspiration and creativity, helping you take inspired actions towards building a meaningful life. And the more you engage in the real world, the more you discover hidden talents and abilities within yourself, allowing you to unlock your full potential. And of course, there are healthy outlets for your imagination. Maybe a hobby, something artistic. Thinking about the goals. The difference between someone that gets lost in their imagination and someone that harnesses their imagination. Some of the most successful people that exist use their imagination to think of a world that they want and then channel that to make it happen. You understand that having the courage to face challenges in the real world is an opportunity for growth, resilience, and self-discovery. Your mind effortlessly releases any attachments to any excessive daydreaming, but that gives you space and time for practical action and real accomplishments. Feel that sense of gratitude and appreciation that you have, that true fulfillment comes from living an authentic and purpose-driven life, pursuing meaningful goals and making a positive impact. Release any reliance on fantasies as a means of escape. Feel that grief. Feel that loss, but know that it didn't serve you. You would rather immerse yourself in the experiences and relationships that bring you joy and fulfillment in the real world. You have a desire towards creating real life connections, nurturing genuine relationships that add value and depth to your life. Your imagination is a tool, an engine, and you can harness the power of your imagination to visualize and manifest real life successes, turning dreams into concrete achievements. And how do you differentiate between a fantasy and using your imagination to think of a future you really want? Ask yourself, is it true? And is it useful? And if the thought is neither true or useful, then you can discard it. Discard it as fake fantasies, imaginations. Just an idea or a thought that you can discard. In the past, maybe you had an emotional reaction to these thoughts. Maybe you had dopamine coming from winning in these imaginary worlds. But from this point forward, all of those emotional needs will be met in the real world. Oxytocin from real conversations, real connections. Endorphins from real physical activity. Serotonin from real moments of joy and connection. And dopamine from real accomplishments that require effort or the ability to solve problems. Everything that you experienced in the imaginary world has the essence of what can be experienced in the real world. It may be slower, maybe less intense. It may require hard work, and sometimes it will even involve pain and discomfort and failure and loss. But that's what makes it valuable, that's what makes it real. So you celebrate the balance between imagination and reality, appreciating that while fantasies can inspire, it is real life experiences that bring lasting happiness and fulfillment. I want you to feel that the impact of these words and that red pill is changing ripples through time, changing how you think, what it makes sense to do and think about. Less of a thinker, more of a doer. And I want you to update all those things that happened in your timeline and imagine how they would have happened in this timeline. All the hours wasted that you no longer had to waste. All the stress, the panic that didn't happen. I want you to get a sense that a harsh reality is much more desirable than a pleasurable fantasy. And if you now feel fully aligned with that choice, to deal with things as they are, not as you want them to be, to deal with reality. Sometimes memories feel like they're real, but they've gone, they're in the past. And sometimes worries feel like they're real, but you're anticipating a future that hasn't happened yet. The only thing that is real, really real, is the present moment. And you are unlocking the resources to cope and deal with reality in the real moment. And if you feel that you're embracing and choosing reality over fantasy, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine using this technology floating up over your body, seeing that childlike version of you but with a different look in their eye. They've had that reality check. They don't want to be told nice things for the sake of being told nice things. They want to know what's real, honest conversations, deep thoughts. They want to do what's difficult, what's real, what's hard. And imagine following that life all the way up to the present and getting a sense that a lot of trauma has been released. A lot of pressure and expectations has been diluted. You will acknowledge and appreciate what you've created in reality, but you will let go of all of those beliefs, fears and worries grounded in fantasy. Moments that are long gone, or thoughts that were not that useful anyway. And when you hover over that current version of you at your current age, I I want you to see someone that's changed. That ripple through time from a child all the way into adulthood has had a profound impact. I want you to see a version of you that feels like they've prioritized reality their whole life. The desire to escape or hide in fantasy and imagination doesn't appeal to them. They use that just for inspiration and ideas, but not to escape. You've escaped fantasy into reality. So why would you now escape reality now that you found it? Feel like you're floating into your body, integrating all these new ideas, new ways of thinking, feeling like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. Feeling like you can breathe deeper and more naturally, feeling like you don't need to be on high alert anymore. Because so much of your fears and anxiety was not based on reality. It was based on worries and improbable, unlikely events. Or even just based on your own imagination. When you're fully integrated into this present and all the changes have updated, let me know by nodding your head. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get fully integrated into this moment. As I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken as a man, not a boy, that has chosen reality. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3. Waking up. 4, 5, 6. More alert. 7, 8. Open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10. Wide awake. Wide awake. Wide awake.